someone who loves you.
Leia.
She's the queen bee, the star. Those other two are just her little workers.
Her favorite movie is Varsity Blues.
I hear her hair's insured for $10,000.
Jesus.
What?
I just thought, you were a guy.
Most guys do.
I'm back here again. Oh boy,
What fun!
what's a girl to do when she's back here again? After so much growth, she's still stuck between men.
Are you wearing the
Chanel boots? Yeah, I am.
She's a cool girl. Cool girl is hot. Cool girl is gay. Cool girl is fun. And she floated down past all the other abused, unwanted, inconvenient women.
But are there in fact people who would probably not go to the movie because they heard it was not authentic Ewok?
language?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
wouldn't go. I wouldn't have done the film.
It is 1983 and you are going to see the final Star Wars movie. You've gotten to know these characters for nearly 6 years and are excited to see their accomplishments. Let's see how they did. Our favorite walking carpet, he continues to be an amazing pilot, but he got a chance to shine here by befriending the Ewoks and showing his real chops at guerrilla warfare. Where would our heroes be without him? Our industrious droids, always getting our heroes out of scrapes. R2 continues to open doors, hide important ways to counter the enemy, and be a great help to X-Wings everywhere. C-3PO got to use his fantastic language skills to make important new allies and save our heroes from certain death. He may have opposed our heroes in the last movie, but he is now part of the gang. He becomes an excellent pilot of the Millennium Falcon, is named General of the Rebellion, and is instrumental in destroying the new Death Star. Everyone's favorite scoundrel has sure matured in the time we've known him. Now he's a general leading an essential and dangerous mission to defeat the Empire, and finding the love of his life on the way certainly doesn't hurt. The last Jedi around, he shows us what he can really do in Jabba's palace. Then he goes before the Emperor himself to try to save his father's soul, and he succeeds. Coming in as a surprise, Darth Vader himself, Anakin Skywalker, decided to destroy the Emperor to save his son instead. The act unfortunately cost him his life, but he received a posthumous award for Most Changed. Let's have a moment of silence for him and all of our fallen heroes. And finally, our princess, leader of the rebellion, decides to slay a hut, change up her fashion choices, befriend some Ewoks, and follow under Han. Oh, and her love triangle sorts itself out in the most awkward of ways. That's about it. Anyway, hello! On this channel, we talk about ladies, and this series is all about how female characters were treated by this franchise. Today, we're going to talk about how Leia Organa wraps up the trilogy. As always, I know how Star Wars fans can be, so please be aware, this video is by ladies for ladies. If this look is the main addition to canon that you remember for Leia in this movie, then this video is not for you. Please feel free to click on something designed for your male gaze. For the rest of you, we are going to talk about how Leia had very little to do in this movie, how her character arc ends, and what her legacy really is. Let's get started. Okay, so I want to preface this by saying that Return of the Jedi was always my favorite when that was all there was. It was the little bears, specifically, that drew me into the story. But Leia was also part of it. I loved that she got to wear a pretty dress and hang out with the little bear Ewoks and appreciate her kindness and compassion.
Maybe you can help me. Come on, sit down.
Her Disney princess era, basically. And I loved the opening scene, where this awesome bounty hunter who outfoxed Jabba the Hutt
Because he's holding a thermal detonator.
was actually Leia the whole time.
Who are you?
Absolutely delightful plot twist for little me.
Michi and Jedi, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Immeasurable.
As an adult, I will stand by this climax as one of the best in cinema. Luke Skywalker tossing his lightsaber away, choosing compassion over violence.
Never. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Yeah, we don't often get things like that from our masculine heroes, and it is fantastic writing that gets at the soul of this series. I love how, since this moment, Luke has very little tangibly to do with the rebellion at all, but that doesn't mean what he's doing isn't important. It's what the rebellion does on a smaller scale, by which I mean redemption is its standard procedure for anyone willing to join them. So all these pieces fit together thematically, and it's a strong message that sets itself apart from how most other stories wrap up.
I'll not leave you here. I've got to save you.
You already have. Look, tell your sister you are right.
But we are here to talk about Leia, not the movie as a whole, and unfortunately, things don't go quite as well with her writing.
It won't be easy for you to hear it, but you must. If I don't make it back, you're the only hope for the Alliance.
Look at this line.
That boy is our last hope.
No, there is another.
The power, the excitement, the potential of that suggestion. There is someone else who could be as cool and powerful as Luke.
Leia.
And then we find out that Leia is Luke's sister. Twist of the century. Well, sort of. And to fulfill the promise of Yoda's assertion, she is told how to bring down the barge.
Get the gun! Point at the deck!
Volunteers to go on a mission as one of Han's underlings.
General, count me in.
Does not take charge of things with the rebellion at all. She neither leads the attack on the Death Star, brings down the shield, nor even gives orders like she used to.
The ion cannon will fire several shots to make sure that any enemy ships will be out of your flight path.
We also know that the weapon systems of this Death Star are not yet operational. With the Imperial fleet...
I hate to complain about other female characters when we have so few, but Leia should be doing this instead of Mon Mothma, and honestly instead of Akbar too.
Are not yet operational. The Death Star does have a strong defense mechanism.
Now Leia is not without charm and initiative in this movie. She does kill Jabba. Goes after these troopers.
Wait, Leia!
And takes care of this situation.
I love you.
I know.
Oh, and she also kills that guy.
Stand up!
In my video on A New Hope, I talked about how Leia is really fantastic at the beginning, building this tension and then taking control of the escape from the Death Star.
They let us go.
the only explanation for the ease of our escape.
But once they get back to the rebellion, she doesn't have much to do.
Here, boss, 23 degrees. I see it. Stay low.
Empire was a bit better, both with her clearly in a command role on Hoth,
Send all troops from Sector 12 to the South Slope to protect the fighter.
and with how she engineers their escape from Cloud City.
We don't need any of your help.
And especially this bit.
We've got to go back.
Look, Leia can use the Force. Yoda called her their last hope, essentially.
You're the only hope for the Alliance.
Which all pays off. Not here. Okay, so it just doesn't, if I'm being honest. And I will do a separate video on her in the sequel trilogy. But let's get into how we were left with Leia from 1983 to 2015.
How we doing? Same as always. That bad, huh?
I started this series with bringing your attention to how absolutely groundbreaking Leia was in 1977. The damsel in distress sassed her rescuers and then told them exactly how to rescue her. Without her, would they have ever even gotten off the Death Star, let alone blown it up? It was clearly an intentional approach to writing a female character that set the series apart, not just from other science fiction, but from action or adventure movies, and certainly led to other iconic characters like Ripley, Sarah Connor, etc., arguably leading to a completely different landscape of movies, so that by the time Padme came onto the scene, she was no longer hugely different from everyone else on the big screen at the time.
Do you remember your mother? Your real mother?
Then Empire Strikes Back came out and established that Leia is in the driver's seat when it comes to how her love story is going to play out.
Well, I guess you don't know everything about women yet.
And the plot takes the time to ensure that this is given as much weight as Luke being trained, with an ending that points to exciting things to come.
I love you.
I know. Hear me.
Princess, we'll find Han. I promise.
What I'm saying is that there were a lot of promises made by Leia's character, and they did not come into fruition. Han and Lando are promoted to generals and blow up the Death Star. Luke becomes the last Jedi and saves his father, while Leia befriends some little bears, who do end up being pretty helpful, but it's nothing compared to this. Or this.
Never. I'll never turn to the dark side.
Is really just this beginning bit that's cool for Leia. Except it also fails, and Luke stumbles in with a terrible plan that still manages to succeed.
Luke's crazy. He can't even take care of himself, much less rescue anybody.
So much of this movie is building up how far our characters have progressed.
I'm out of it for a little while. Everybody gets illusions of grandeur.
Calrissian has volunteered to lead the fighter.
General Solo, is your strike team assembled?
No more training do you require. Already know you. That which you need.
Then I am a Jedi.
But Leia, formerly princess and head of the rebellion, has regressed in such a significant way. She may get to turn this back around on Han.
I know.
But otherwise their relationship is mostly shown as his decision to apologize or to step aside.
I'm sorry. You love him. When he comes back, I won't get in the way.
She's no longer in the driver's seat.
Hold me.
And obviously her role as rebellion leader is basically non-existent. Everyone has surpassed her.
General Calrissian.
General Solo,
I'm a Jedi.
So while I was able to talk about all the exciting ways Leia subverted our expectations in the previous two movies, there's really only one way she does here. The rest of the series spent so much time emphasizing how important Leia is, both in universe and as a pillar of the plot. So I had high expectations for how she would ultimately bring down the Empire. And man, were those expectations subverted. And I am forever disappointed.
Unexpected this is.
because she was thrown out of her practical but beautiful outfits to wearing the metal bikini that was a staple of bad sci-fi before she came onto the scene. Because she did not even get to make a decision in her love triangle. It was decided by a last-minute plot development.
He's my brother.
Because she did almost nothing against the Empire and did not even monitor the situation personally. Because she did not end up using the Force in any way.
You have a power I don't understand and could never have.
But even worse than that, she is used by the plot for Luke's ultimate development instead of doing anything herself.
Leia is my sister.
Your insight serves you well. Bury your feelings deep down. They do you credit, but they couldn't be made to serve the Emperor.
Then you know why I have to face him.
Your feelings for them are strong, especially for sister. Your feelings have now betrayed her too. If you will not turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will.
Great. Women will be the reason you almost go to the dark side and kill your dad, but they can't do anything more helpful than being slightly ahead of you on something you were going to do anyway.
I see them. Wait, Leia!
So yeah, my disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined. It could be worse, as I'll get to with the other ladies, or Leia in later movies, but if they hadn't built her up so far, I wouldn't be so disappointed, you know?
Where's Leia?
What, she didn't come back?
I thought she was with you.
And you said it was pretty here.
So, let's see how her character arc wraps up.
You've always been strong.
Give in to your anger.
Alright, for our next section, let's talk about how Return of the Jedi wraps up Leia's character arc. First, as a standalone film, here's her arc in this movie. You can see it's mostly on Tatooine, and she just manages the rest in a couple of brief scenes that barely cover the step. So that's not ideal, but maybe it's better in context.
Everything is proceeding as I have foreseen.
Overall, remember that her main separation was from her own feelings. She had to do so in order to lead the rebellion. The Empire Strikes Back forced her to face her feelings for Han and learn from that experience. Now she can finally be in touch with her emotions and be part of the rebellion. So let's get into how that works.
I can feel it.
We left Leia at the Descent in Cloud City, where she again took charge and got nearly everyone off of Bespin and back to the rebellion, while still acknowledging her true feelings for Han as she did so.
I love you.
We meet her in essentially the same step, still taking charge of her situation and doing it because of how she feels.
Someone who loves you.
She disguises herself as a bounty hunter and goes into Jabba's palace with the intention of freeing Han. This is a literal descent for both her and her brother, and it will strengthen her resolve going forward.
Leia.
I gotta get you out of here.
Next, she urgently yearns to reconnect to the feminine. Here, she is forced into some very gendered clothing, which is not how she usually operates. Ignoring the real-world reasons for it, I'll get back to. This is probably an attempt for Jabba to shame Han and take a more personal revenge than he'd been able to before. So Leia longs to return to her role in the rebellion, but perhaps also to her previous MO of not putting her feelings out there. Now that her heart is on her sleeve, it's a lot easier for bad guys to take advantage of it. Of course, because Leia is awesome, she takes care of that situation. Once they have left Tatooine, Leia is back with the rebellion and will stay that way for the rest of the film. But there are some changes from the previous movies that are worthy of note. This is the first mission she's been on with Han after admitting her feelings. And that has put her in touch with, well, her feminine side, as we see here.
Leia.
But how she got to this point is essential. When she encountered Wicket, she befriended him because of her compassion.
It's not gonna hurt you, look.
And because of her badassery. Look at her, just wipe the floor with those dudes. So Wicket immediately trusts her and takes her home. This represents an important step for Leia, who may not have realized that she could do both before. She may have had a few moments of compassion, especially for Luke, but it was not something she employed in what is essentially a tactical way. Not that she knows here how beneficial it ends up being, but compared to how she greets other people she doesn't know.
Can't get out that way.
Looks like you managed to cut off our only escape route.
This is some rescue. When you came in here, didn't you have a plan for getting out?
I thought you knew this person. I don't like this.
Well, he seems very friendly.
Yes. Very friendly.
I think it's a fairly pointed reference that shows us where she is on her own journey.
And who might you be?
Leia.
Welcome, Leia.
I must be honest and say that, alternatively, they may have sort of forgotten that Leia doesn't usually act like this, but let's just say it was intentional.
Come on, let's get out of here.
Now that Leia has accepted that having feelings is not, always a bad thing, she needs to reconcile with the masculine, with both Luke and Han. For Luke, she tells him about her mother, which he perhaps finds healing, since, of course, they are both talking about the same person.
She was very beautiful, kind, but sad.
I have no memory of my mother.
He tells her the truth about their father.
Your father?
My sister has it.
I know.
Then you know why I have to face him.
No. Luke, run away.
And that is painful, while also being important for her to know.
Tell your sister you were right.
She reconciles with Han here.
I'm sorry.
Hold me.
Briefly, but mainly it is right here.
You love him.
He offers to stand aside for Luke.
When he comes back, I won't get in the way.
And she puts his fears to rest about the future.
He's my brother.
Settling the whole love triangle thing completely. Finally, after 3 movies of development, Leia has reached the fulfillment of her arc. She's accepted herself and her feelings as the positive trait that they are,
I love you.
while still being an important part of the rebellion and helping defeat the Empire once and for all.
I know.
Hands up! Stand up!
She integrates what she has learned to become a complete person by the end, no longer just an agent of the rebellion. Which is good, because they have succeeded and won the war, and now she can adjust to peacetime. Certainly she will still stand up for what's right, but she won't be afraid to look to her own needs along the way.
It's not like that at all.
So it is great that she completes her arc, but I must address something I mentioned in this video. As is often the case, I am able to come up with Leia's whole journey because she is my sole focus for this video, but I think it is important to look at it in context. Unlike her co-stars, she does not really face new challenges or even struggle to reconcile with anyone. So let's look at everyone's main challenges and reconciliations.
Right
me down with all of your hatred, and your journey towards the dark side will be complete.
Never.
Then, not ready for the burden, were you?
I'm sorry.
Bury your feelings deep down, Luke. They do you credit.
I feel the conflict within you. Let go of your hate.
No. Go, my son.
It's not my fault.
3PO! You tell that slimy piece of worm-ridden filth he'll get no such pleasure from us, right?
You need all the help you can get. She's the fastest ship in the fleet.
All right, old buddy.
It's not like that at all.
If we're coming, break off the attack. The shield is still up.
I'll take good care of her. She won't get a scratch. All right?
Right. Keep your distance, though, Chewie. But don't look like you're trying to keep your distance. I don't know. Fly casual.
Well, I can see you're serving drinks, but... Going? What do you mean you're going? Going where are you? They did it!
I present to you a gift. These two droids.
What did he say?
Do you understand anything they're saying?
Oh, yes, Master Luke. Remember that I am fluent in over 6 million forms of
What are you telling them?
I beg your pardon, General Solo, but that just wouldn't be proper.
Proper?
It's against my programming to impersonate a deity.
Say, over there! Were you looking for me?
And what does Leia bring narratively to the table? Everyone is captured by Jabba. She's the only one who obviously fails in her part of the plan. Even if she does end up killing him herself. She may befriend the Ewoks first, but C-3PO and Luke are the reason that goes anywhere. Otherwise, she shares all the same challenges as Han, except he has more personal stakes and is ultimately successful. So yeah, not to begrudge the droids, but both they and Chewie have more to do and are more instrumental in the plot working out than our sole female character.
Where's Leia?
Where's Leia?
And to top all that off, there are no interpersonal conflicts that she resolves. There was a love triangle in the last movie, which made the point that she would get to decide who wins between our plucky hero and this scoundrel.
That's right.
Well, turns out one is her brother, so resolves pretty passively on her part.
He's my brother. I've always
known. Sure, Jan.
While Han is the one who takes an active role in trying to sort it out.
All right. I understand. Fine.
And everything with Luke is also passive. He comes to her and drops a bombshell that we don't see her really respond to.
Your father.
Like, she could just be upset Luke is going to his death, you know?
But why must you confront him?
It's not something she gets to process at all, let alone in the same way he does.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
And of course, she has very little to do with the final acts of the rebellion. No more than like Wedge over here.
I'm going in.
Very different from what we've seen of her before. So as much as I appreciate having her actively present during the climactic final battle, she hasn't done anything as the rebellion leader we knew.
You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take her away!
You don't know how hard I found it signing the order to terminate your life.
I'm surprised you had the courage to take the responsibility yourself.
No time for SARS, Commander.
You must use the information in this R2 unit to help plan the attack.
Yes! You're a great help to us. You're a natural leader. The energy shield. Proceed directly to the rendezvous point. Understood? Yeah. Good luck. Send all troops from Sector 12 to the south slope to protect the fighter. Give the evacuation code signal.
So yes, her arc does hit all the steps, and she certainly gets an implied happily ever after, which is better than her poor colleagues. But we could have ended on their escape from Tatooine for as much as the rest of the movie did for her character. I mean, I have seen worse, but I've also seen better. So let's get into what all this means to us ladies. Alright, to wrap up with Leia, I want to specify why this series is named after this quote of hers.
The more you tighten your grip, Tarkin, the more star systems will slip through your fingers.
Because, well, as all the trilogies have progressed, it turns out that the careful attention paid to how the ladies fit into the story experiences a significant drop-off. It slips through, if you will. Let's get into how that works here.
You have a power I don't understand and could never have.
But to preface that, there are two main ways you can explain a character action, with either a Watsonian or a Doylist approach. The first is an in-universe explanation. Luke throws down his lightsaber because he is standing up for what he believes in. And the second is a metatextual explanation. Luke throws down his lightsaber because Lucas is making a point about compassion. And I mention this because when you bring up an issue using either one for the ladies, the answer usually comes back as the opposite. If I question why, in real life, Carrie Fisher had to wear this bikini, I will be told it is because her character is a slave. If I question why Leia finding out she is Darth Vader's daughter doesn't affect her actions, I will be told that Lucas did not think there was time to introduce a sister character in the last movie.
Yes. It's you, Leia.
Whereas, if I ask about the white part of Luke's costume, I'll likely hear the Doylist explanation about it representing his status as the hero of the story / the New Hope. And if I ask about why he didn't finish the shield generator mission,
I'm with you too. This is a rebel that surrendered to us.
I'll likely hear the Watsonian explanation that Vader could sense him and he was a liability.
Endangering the mission. I shouldn't have come.
And now I find it suspect that it's all Doylist with female characters, except when you talk about what they're wearing. Suddenly an in-universe explanation is more than enough for Leia's bikini. But no in-universe explanation can be accepted for why Rey can pick up a lightsaber. But to bring us back to the point of this section, it's basically this tweet. Fiction gives you a way to empathize with people you do not know and are not like you, and you need to be able to do that to be a functional adult. So how does Star Wars fare with showing us that women can be heroes?
We don't need any of your help.
I started this series talking about how Leia had such a profound effect on pop culture because she was so dynamically different from how women were portrayed in most films in the 70s. Yeah, this being a rare, hopeful movie obviously had an impact on its reception, but a huge part of that is having a female character who stands up to and narratively goes toe-to-toe with the men.
Somebody has to save our skins. Into the garbage, you flyboy!
Leia's part of the plot is establishing the sides. She ushers in Luke and the audience to this universe and explains how the board is set up.
Only you could be so bold. The Imperial Senate will not sit still for this.
This is an essential role for the story, and having a female character do it, especially the damsel in distress, was and still is a huge subversion of the trope.
Short for a stormtrooper.
What this said to anyone watching is that ladies are welcome, that they are important to this story. Yes, Luke is the main character, and he has to figure out what kind of man he's going to be, but he is not the only character, and that is not the only question this series is posing. There are a lot of interesting ideas explored in what might be taken as a straightforward adventure movie, but what I'm saying is that Leia directly challenges the male characters in a Watsonian sense.
From now on, you do as I tell you, okay?
So she also challenges the male viewer in a Doylist sense. Women don't just exist as a motivating factor for men.
Who is she? She's beautiful.
I'm afraid she's the one in the message. We gotta help her.
This is not rescue. When you came in here, didn't you have a plan for getting out?
They have their own agendas and emotional reactions, with the plans, with resisting the bad guys, with losing their planet, but fighting on regardless. She is definitely as much a hero of this story as anyone else.
I only hope that when the data's analyzed, a weakness can be found. It's not over yet.
By the end of the next movie, both men have been brought low and Leia has to rescue them.
We've got to go back.
What?
I know where Luke is. I gotta get you out of here.
Putting her back on equal footing, both in the Watsonian sense and perhaps even more importantly, from a Doylist perspective. She's the only one who doesn't make a significant mistake in judgment in this movie.
You must not go.
But Han and Leia will die if I don't.
I don't trust Lando.
And having the woman be the right one is an important message to the audience.
You certainly have a way with people.
Which continues into Return of the Jedi, but then decreases as the story goes on. She doesn't stand up to Luke or Han at really any point. She no longer takes a significant portion of the narrative. She may discover the Ewoks first, but the men shortly show up so Luke can take command of that situation. During the mission, Han is directly her superior. Chewie has a bigger impact than she does.
Chewie!
All of which is to say that the first two movies challenge the idea that only men can be heroes and make a difference, that women exist as motivation for the more important characters. But this one does very little to reinforce that, so we are left with a movie where Leia may not be a damsel in distress anymore, but her most significant impact is on her father and her brother when she isn't even there.
My sister.
Especially for sister. Perhaps she will.
Tell your sister.
Darth Vader's redemption with Luke is great, but all Luke did was lose a fight to him.
It is the only way.
Leia was made his prisoner and tortured twice.
And now, Your Highness, we will discuss the location of your hidden rebel base.
Why are they doing this?
Take the princess and the Wookiee to my ship.
How she feels about him could have made his redemption even more powerful and could have been a wonderful story. Which brings me to 2 points I want to discuss before we close this out. I find that the best way to cover my bases and deal with both Watsonian and Doylist arguments about how Leia had to be portrayed this way is to offer you a couple counterexamples. One is Elizabeth Swann, who, like Leia, started as a damsel in distress.
According to the code of the Order of the Reverend.
The code is more what you'd call guidelines than actual rules.
When they hear you've attacked a diplomatic...
Don't act so surprised, Your Highness. You weren't on any mercy mission.
And honestly, she does a bit less than Leia in terms of actually escaping.
She's a proper age.
She said her name was Turner, you heard her.
Into the garbage chute, flyboy!
However, unlike Leia, she takes a significant role in the climax of that film.
What is in that cable? We must save him. Ready?
The battle station is heavily shielded and carries a firepower.
I can't breathe. I knew that was more to you than money. This is mine.
Elizabeth.
And the subsequent movies take the time to explore the love story from her perspective.
Just thought I'd be married by now. I'm so ready to be married. This doesn't work. And it certainly doesn't show you what you want most.
Her journey to womanhood is a central aspect of the plot of the trilogy.
King?
That ultimately results in her having the ability to make a choice about how she wants her future to unfold.
I'm concerned about the effect this subject will have upon my daughter.
Actually, I find it all fascinating.
Yes, that's what concerns me.
Why not?
See, the Pirate King is elected by popular vote.
Look! A boy! There's a boy in the water!
Ready on the gun!
And The Empire Strikes Back does that for Leia, to then be cut short here. She has almost no part in her continued relationship with Han.
You awake?
Yeah, I just got a funny feeling, like I'm not gonna see her again.
I mean, this scene is really great and shows how they've matured.
I'm sorry.
But the way their relationship is presented is now really from Han's perspective. Unlike here with Elizabeth, Leia's choice is not part of the story.
Do you take me to be your husband?
I do!
Great!
You take me to be your wife!
You love him, don't you?
Yes.
Leia obviously isn't going to choose her brother, so what she actually wants doesn't have to be explored.
I've made my choice. What's yours?
It's not like that at all.
Leia has no agency in her love story or the rebellion in this movie. And you can look to how Elizabeth became Pirate King.
At dawn, we're at war.
And decided to marry a pirate legend.
Will you keep it safe?
As an example of how Leia's story could have paid off, to emphasize what we're missing here.
General, count me in.
No, they will see free men and freedom!
Now, for the other example, we need to make a deeper cut. So in 2022, Lucasfilm released a short series called Willow, a sequel to the 1988 movie of the same name. One of the main protagonists is Jade Claymore, and she has a lot in common with Leia.
Where's Leia?
I'm here.
Where is she?
I'm here.
You make a decent.
She looks up to her adopted parent and is trusted by them to complete the mission.
You will need someone you can trust.
I would trust her with my life.
Counting on you as I would any night.
After setting out, Jade discovers a long-lost sibling who tells her that their father was actually the villain of the story.
Do you remember your mother? Your real mother?
Just a little bit.
I remember that you used to count the stars before you went to sleep. To make sure there was just as many up there as the night before.
Your father.
My sister has it.
The Mark of Kale.
General Kale.
You've heard of him.
She has to reconcile her worldview to this revelation.
Luke, run away. Far away.
And you didn't tell me. Well, what was I supposed to say? That I have a funny feeling you might in fact be the very thing you vowed to destroy?
Was fed lies about us and about herself. But tonight she is reborn, bathed in the love of her family and the values that we still fight for.
You look like you belong here. I do.
And it initially drives a wedge between her and her love interest, before it becomes something they work through and are closer than ever as a result.
I can't tell you.
Could you tell Luke? Is that who you could tell?
And at worst, it would have broken your heart. Well, you're certainly the expert on breaking my heart. And I know my dad killed your dad. I don't care. You don't? I'm not him.
It serves as a catalyst for a lot of Jade's character development and shapes how she approaches the climax of the story, which I won't spoil here.
Jade's the Bone Reaver. I don't know what that makes her now. Conflicted, I imagine.
Now, I hasten to add that I hate to compare TV shows to movies. They have different methods of portraying tropes and require different analysis. But I'm bringing up Willow because 1, it is also a Lucasfilm production, and 2, there are only 8 episodes and 3 main female characters, so comparing it to the Star Wars ladies makes sense in terms of scope and screen time without feeling like it is apples to oranges.
All right, that's... Everyone deserves one good cry per quest.
So Jade basically embodies what I wish Leia had been able to be. And I know comparing something more than 40 years apart is not exactly fair. There was an uphill battle to get a female character who was more than a sexy lamp at the time. But I just wanted to share how Willow felt like such a breath of fresh air because it took the female characters and what happened to them seriously.
I'm spinning out, Jay.
No.
I feel like it's slipping away and then I'm spinning. I don't...
No, it's not you.
Okay.
Something which Star Wars knocked out of the park initially.
Dantooine. They're on Dantooine.
But once things with higher stakes came up, there is no attention paid to Leia.
But why must you confront him?
She has as little to do with the destruction of the second Death Star as she did the first one. Yeah, on paper, her role is pretty important. She gets the plans, she brings down the shields with help. But this is a visual medium, and what she is shown to be doing matters. Here's everyone else.
That was too close.
Power! Too late!
Well, they're on their way. R2, are you sure this was a good idea?
And here she is.
Get down here! She's wounded! No, wait!
I got an idea.
So back to the idea of slipping through. Does this trilogy embrace the idea that women can be heroes? It sure seemed like it did. A New Hope definitely set out to establish Leia as an essential part of the galaxy. Empire Strikes Back upped the ante with both the love story and by showing that the lady can save the day for the dudes.
Luke, Chewie, slow down. Slow down and we'll get under.
But then this movie just takes my hand and says, well, sorry, but we are no longer interested. It's important that men like the ending. So let's put her in a gold bikini, in a pretty gown with her hair down, instead of all her practical outfits. Let's make sure we point out how important she is to the male characters and sort of forget to make her important to the plot. Thanks, I hate it.
I guess you don't know everything about women yet.
And I think this led to how she's remembered in pop culture. After Return of the Jedi, we had a period of about 16 years in which a bunch of nerds decided that only they understood Star Wars.
That's mine!
Which, like, it is consistently one of the highest grossing movies to come out. Everyone likes Star Wars. Or they did.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
But what I'm saying is that these folks seem to have decided what these movies are about, and based a lot of that on Leia in Return of the Jedi.
But they couldn't be made to serve the Emperor.
This trilogy started out by making it clear how important women, or at least this one woman, were to the galaxy and to the whole story. And she was well-rounded, with her emotions mattering, and the expectation that the audience would care about what she thought or felt just as much as the fellas.
That doesn't sound too hard.
But Return of the Jedi reduces her to a sexy lamp, a pretty MacGuffin. She has virtually nothing to do with saving the galaxy, and less to do with the fight for its soul.
Sister, and perhaps she will.
Which means that us ladies are welcome to appreciate the writing and the happy resolution. But we are clearly no longer being invited to the party. Not unless we want to wear gold bikinis. Because that turns out to be Leia's real legacy. A feisty damsel who may speak her mind, but ultimately does nothing to challenge the standard approach to big budget movies, where men's stories matter and women's do not. So even though Star Wars has always been special for subverting tropes, especially where ladies are concerned, this one misses the mark. And what that means, dualistically speaking, is that this can be remembered as a story that reinforced how men are the real heroes, even though it clearly set out to upset that status quo. But maybe things will be better in the next trilogy.
She's dying.
We don't know why. She has lost the will to live.
As always, I like to wrap these up with the question, is she more than a love interest in the movie? Meaning, is she more relevant than, like, a sexy lamp? And I hate to say it, but after she gets caught by Jabba, Leia really isn't. Sure, she has some things to do, but you could pretty easily remove her from this movie without changing anything.
I gotta get you out of here.
But I warn you not to underestimate my power.
Let's get out of here.
Help! Master Luke! R2, quick!
Han, hurry. The fleet will be here any moment.
Which you absolutely could not do in the others.
No time for a SARS commander. You must use the information in this R2 unit to help plan the attack.
Somebody has to save our skins. Into the garbage chute, Flybor!
I don't know who you are or where you came from, but from now on, you do as I tell you, okay?
Understood? Good luck. Give the evacuation code signal.
I don't trust Lando.
What?
I know where Luke is.
Since this is the end of the trilogy, I also want to evaluate it from that perspective. She had an arc over the whole thing. She is certainly a different person than when we met her. A more well-rounded person, even.
I love you.
I know.
She has a love interest she chose. She has a happily ever after, at least implied. So while I am disappointed by this as an ending for her, it could be worse. She is happy and healthy in the final scene, with a lot of options for how her story could continue. It's a great place to end a story, with emotional catharsis. The evil is defeated, but could still have pockets if you want future antagonists. And this is why the expanded universe flourished the way it did, and kept Star Wars in the zeitgeist until the next installment. For young people, franchises used to end and go away.
Rest I need. Yes. Rest.
So while this movie is no longer my favorite in the series, now that I'm an adult, it's still a fairly solid ending to the trilogy. And Leia did contribute to and grow as a result of this climactic event in the galaxy. And that means we have a cathartic story and can close the book without ruling out her future adventures. Thank you for listening to me talk about our favorite space princess. Next time, we'll talk about a real tragedy in the next trilogy. Please like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, join my Patreon, buy me a coffee, all the things so you don't miss it. See you then.